All right, Joe, it's showtime.
Peter's not the only one getting into trouble. Lois Griffin has had her fair share of moments where she got exactly what she had coming. From meddling in other people's business to betraying her family, Lois often finds herself in situations where she truly deserves the consequences. Today, we're counting down the top 10 times Lois Griffin got what she deserved. Let's dive in. Number 10. The guilt. Lois's relationship with Stewie is a complicated one, and in Peter's Two Dads, Season 5, she takes things too far. When Stewie acts out, Lois decides to spank him, a decision that, at the time, was considered a more normal form of discipline. However, Stewie becomes terrified of her, and Lois immediately feels guilty for what she did. As she should. The entire episode focuses on Lois's struggle with the guilt she feels for spanking her infant son, and the impact it has on her relationship with Stewie. Stewie might be a handful, but the guilt she experiences is enough to make Lois feel like she got what she deserved. And honestly, who can blame her? Number 9. A telling off from Peter. Lois has a habit of sticking her nose where it doesn't belong, and in Brothers and Sisters, Season 6, it's no exception. Lois thinks she knows best when it comes to her sister Carol and her plans to marry Mayor Adam West. In an attempt to prove to Carol that she's making a bad decision, Lois invites Carol's ex-husbands over for dinner. What a horrible thing to do. Peter, of course, is not having it. He gives Lois a well-deserved telling off, calling her out for meddling in Carol's personal life and hurting her in the process. Lois thought she was helping, but Peter doesn't hold back, and she certainly deserved every word he said to her. Number 8. Stewie running away. Lois's refusal to vaccinate Stewie in Hot Shots, Season 9, leads to a massive problem. Stewie, terrified of getting sick, runs away from home. What follows is a series of events that showcases Lois's poor decision-making. Not only does she refuse to vaccinate Stewie, but her anti-vax sentiments get the entire town of Quahog quarantined. This puts everyone at risk, all because Lois refused to see the bigger picture. When Stewie runs away, it's clear that Lois deserves the chaos that ensues. Stewie is much more aware than your average baby, and Lois's actions led him to make this difficult decision. Lois doesn't exactly get the lesson she deserves, but Stewie's rebellion is a clear sign that she's out of line. Number 7. Being blackmailed by Peter and his friends. Peter's antics are often ridiculous, but in A Lot Going On Upstairs, Season 14, Lois gets a dose of her own medicine. When Peter transforms the attic into his Pete pad to hang out with his friends, Lois gets frustrated by the constant neglect and lack of attention. So, what does she do? She locks Peter and his friends in the attic as a form of punishment. However, things backfire when the guys blackmail Lois by threatening to destroy her wedding dress unless she lets them out. Lois may have thought she was teaching Peter a lesson, but in the end, it's Peter and his friends who get the last laugh, and Lois ends up with the punishment she rightly deserves. Number 6. Revealing movie. Lois's past comes back to haunt her in And I'm Joyce Kinney, Season 9, when Joyce Kinney reveals that Lois starred in an adult film back in college. While it's certainly nobody's business but Lois's, Joyce harbors a grudge from high school when Lois humiliated her. Joyce takes it upon herself to exact revenge by airing Lois's past movie for the whole town to see. Lois may have lived with the regret of humiliating Joyce all those years ago, but having her past exposed in such a public manner is just desserts. Lois's embarrassment is palpable, and it's clear that, in this case, she got what she deserved. Number 5. The threat of adultery. In Bill and Peter's Bogus Journey, Season 9, Lois gets a serious wake-up call about her marriage when she has an affair with former President Bill Clinton. After Peter and Bill Clinton become fast friends, Lois becomes frustrated with being ignored and ultimately confronts Bill. One thing leads to another, and the two end up in bed together. Feeling guilty afterward, Lois offers Peter a free pass to sleep with someone else to even the score. Peter, instead, decides to sleep with Lois's mother, Babs. While Peter doesn't actually go through with it, the situation still throws Lois for a loop. She certainly got a taste of her own medicine, and the emotional roller coaster she rides in this episode is more than what she bargained for. Number 4. Lois. Getting arrested for impersonating a nurse. Lois's desperate need for attention leads her down a dangerous path in a wife-changing experience, Season 9. To spice things up in her marriage, Lois dances for Joe, which later leads to her dressing up as a nurse in a veterans hospital to get more attention. Her attempt to impersonate a nurse ends with Lois getting arrested for this illegal act. This was a reckless decision, and Lois definitely deserves the consequences of her actions. Impersonating a medical professional not only puts others at risk, but also puts her in a position where she has to deal with the legal ramifications. Lois learns the hard way that seeking attention in such a dangerous way has its costs. Number 3. Being confronted by an angry mob. Lois's actions in Livin' on a Prayer, Season 9, lead to an incredibly intense moment where she faces an angry mob. After refusing to vaccinate Stewie, Lois kidnaps a sick child from a family who refuses medical treatment due to their religious beliefs. Lois believes she is doing the right thing, but when she tries to force medical treatment on the child, the parents are understandably furious. As a result, Lois faces the wrath of the parents and their entire community. While Lois thinks she's acting out of kindness, her actions have serious consequences. This mob confrontation serves as a clear reminder that Lois sometimes doesn't fully think through the fallout of her decisions. Number 2. Meg's wrath. Lois has a complicated relationship with Meg, to say the least. Meg has been the punching bag of the Griffin family for years, and Lois has not been the kindest to her daughter. After years of verbal abuse and emotional neglect, Meg finally snaps. In Seahorse Seashell Party, Season 13, Meg unleashes her pent-up anger and confronts Lois about everything she's done wrong. Meg goes hard, calling Lois out on how terrible of a mother she's been. Lois, who has been emotionally neglectful and mentally abusive toward Meg for years, finally gets the emotional blowback she truly deserves. It's an intense and long overdue moment where Lois gets exactly what she has coming to her. Number 1. Going to jail. Lois's worst moment comes in Breaking Out is Hard to Do, Season 12, where her actions finally catch up with her. Lois, who starts out shoplifting as a way to make ends meet, becomes addicted to the thrill of stealing. What starts as a harmless crime escalates to grand theft, and she is eventually arrested. Lois's family tries to break her out of jail, and they all go on the run. But Lois ultimately turns herself in. While she eventually avoids jail time after saving Joe's life, she definitely deserves the punishment she faces. Lois's descent into crime and her reckless behavior lead to a serious life lesson. And in this case, Lois truly got what she deserved. Lois Griffin sure has a knack for getting herself into trouble, and sometimes she gets exactly what she deserves. Which one of these moments made you say, finally, she got what was coming to her? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Family Guy breakdowns and character deep dives.